Auburn! What happened? How do you lose to the Crimson Tide?
What happened, Ohio State? I lost to Michigan. Oh, see. LSU, what happened? How is your Texas A&M? Good win this year, LSU. Your brain, call me if you can. Clemson, what happened? How to lose to South Carolina?
You dared Michigan to pass the ball and they executed. Then you dared them to run the ball and they also executed on that. That's why this loss is so embarrassing, at least to me. I said it in the offseason, I said it last year, and I've harped on it this year. DJ Ubadugi is an average quarterback at best, and he holds Clemson back. And I tweeted it out. I think Uyunglele, and I'm not kidding, I'm not trolling, is the worst starting quarterback in the Power 5 outside of them Iowa quarterbacks. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the last and final recap of the 2022 college football regular season. I'm excited as always to get into this recap. Hope you guys are excited as well. But at the same time, when I thought about it, I'm also kind of sad because, like I said, this is the final one, at least for the regular season. We're still going to have 2 more, but think about that. 2 more recaps and we're done for 6 months. I'm just going to be 100% honest. It does sadden me that college football this season, this amazing season, one of the best seasons that I can remember, is coming to an end. The off seasons are always extremely long and more times than not extremely boring. And whenever the season comes, it flies by just like that. That's why I try to relish every single Saturday and every single week of college football. But that's besides the point. We're not here to talk about it ending. We're here to talk about what happened on Saturday. Look, let's just cut the BS. I know why you're here. You know why you're here. And you know what we're about to get into. We're going to talk about all the chaos that unfolded on Saturday. We had not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 teams in the top 10 lose. We all knew that one top 10 team had to lose with the Michigan and the Ohio State game, but I don't think anybody predicted or thought 4 teams would lose. Whoa. Hold on. Before I forget, also got to address this. I think this year was single-handedly the worst year that anybody in the history of predicting these games has ever had. As most of you know, if you watched the preview video, I predicted Ohio State to demolish Michigan, and yeah, that didn't happen. It was the other way around. Yeah, at this point, it just seems like I'm the devil's kiss. Whoever I pick to win is going to lose. Don't worry, I'm going to eat the crow. We're going to talk all about that. But hey, how come I got no respect and no kudos for predicting the South Carolina and Clemson game right? All right. Let me stop it there. I got a lot to say, and you guys know this. Matt, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. First thing is first, do not act dumb, do not act brand new. You know how we do this. We start out with our 11 a.m. games first. Before we get into the game, the biggest game of the day, at least in my humble opinion, we got to talk about what also happened at 11 a.m. with South Kakalaki and Clemson, a.k.a. I ain't even going to say it. Let me just get into it. Your boy Matt has been wrong on almost every single prediction this year. I'd say it's somewhere around 92.4%. Everything I have predicted, everything I've called, it's went the other way, except, and I repeat, except for one thing, Clemson and DJ Ubadugi. I said it in the offseason, I said it last year, and I've harped on it this year. DJ Ubadugi is an average quarterback at best, and he holds Clemson back. I tried telling all these Clemson fans, you might as well switch over to K Klubnik 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. Yes, it may be bumpy, and there may be some rough freshman licks he takes, but you might as well do it because I know for a fact that DJ Ubadugi cannot lead you to the promised land. And let me make this clear. I don't even think it's a situation like Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence. In those situations, the reason why Tua overtook Jalen Hurts and the reason why Trevor Lawrence overtook Kelly Bryant wasn't because one quarterback was playing average. It was because Trevor Lawrence and Tua was just that special. Jalen Hurts and Kelly Bryant were good college quarterbacks, but everybody, even Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney, saw it. Tua and Trevor Lawrence, they're special. I say that to say this. DJ Ubadugi, he's nowhere even close to the level of a Kelly Bryant or Jalen Hurts. He's below that. And yet, for some odd reason, I don't know what it was, I think DJ Ubadugi's got some blackmail on Dabo Swinney or something, but Dabo is riding or dying for him. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And even Clemson fans were saying it in the middle of the season at the beginning of the year. Why not start Klubnik? And let me make this clear. I'm not saying Klubnik is the answer and he can lead you to the championship, but here's what I do know. DJ can't. Do y'all know what the definition of insane is? It's continuing to do the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, and that's what Dabo Swinney's doing with DJ Uyunglele. Uyunglele, aka Oogabadoogie, is what is holding Clemson back. It's not the defense. As a matter of fact, when you think of Clemson, you still think of them as a defensive team. Has the play calling been wishy-washy? Is some of the blame to Dabo Swinney? Yes, but a main part of that is because your quarterback sucks. And I tweeted it out. I think Uyunglele, and I'm not kidding, I'm not trolling, is the worst starting quarterback in the Power 5 outside of them Iowa quarterbacks. This guy's hot garbage. 8 for 29. Let me repeat that. 8 for 29. That's what, a 23 completion percentage? Under 100 yards against South Carolina's defense, which is, I mean, if you want to call him average, that's at best. 1 touchdown to 1 terrible interception, QBR 27.5, and that's generous. This guy's terrible, and out of all people to outperform him, you let Spencer Rattler outperform you. Take nothing away from Rattler. I like the kid. I'm happy he's having a great last couple of games, but Rattler tried to throw the game away multiple times. I still don't understand how South Carolina won this game. Rattler threw a pick 6. That's 7 points he just threw away to Clemson, and also there was a 14-point swing because Rattler had the ball on the 1-yard line and threw another interception. It almost felt like Rattler was trying to give Clemson the game. And the frustrating part about watching Rattler is, I think we all can relate to this, sometimes he makes a great play, and then a play later, he makes a terrible one. These numbers I'm about to read off to you, it sums up the Rattler experience. 25 for 39, 360. You look at that and you're like, hey, that's not bad. That's really good. But it's the 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions that tells you everything. QBR 68.3. Now let me give him his respect and credit. Outside those 2 terrible interceptions, he did play a great game. But the interceptions were so bad, if you're playing any other team, more than likely that cost you the game alone. Regardless of all that, South Carolina wins the game on the road. Is there a hotter team in the country in South Carolina? They got back-to-back top 8 wins. I think not. Trust me, I get it. I've already ranted on it. The storyline, or one of the storylines, is Clemson. Their quarterback situation, it's a mess, but also, I got to give credit to South Carolina and Shane Beamer. What a way he's ended the season. If I'm a Carolina fan, I'm jumping for joy. The way this year went early on, if you would have told me it would have ended this way, I'd have said you lost your mind. I'm happy for South Carolina to finish the year 8-4, and it looks like things are heading up. I mean, there's just no words to describe it. It's a good time to be a South Carolina fan. On the other hand, for Clemson, I'm sorry. The reason I'm laughing is because I don't even know how Clemson fans should feel. Because honestly, if you were in the SEC, you'd be 7-5 or 8-4 like South Carolina is. But since you're in the cupcake conference of the ACC, you're going to go 10-2 every single season, despite you being terrible. As much as I do want to give credit to South Carolina, they're not a really good football team. So to lose to them at home, yeah, it's embarrassing. Big win for the Gamecocks, and here's my thing with South Carolina and the reason I say they're not so good. I thought this year was kind of a semi-rebuilding year, and next year's the year where it's like, okay, maybe South Carolina could go 10-2 or 9-3. For them to already see success in back-to-back games like this, they're already exceeding expectations, similar to Tennessee. Big win for Carolina. We got to get a move on and talk about our next 11 a.m. game. Come on now. You know who we're about to talk about. Michigan and the Ohio State. Oh, wait, my bad. I forgot to talk about this one. TCU. There's not really too much to talk about. I'm going to talk about it for 30 seconds. They blew on Iowa State. Iowa State is hot garbage. TCU, I think they're a legit top 4 team. I got them as my 3rd best team in the country. Big win for them. Honestly, and we'll talk about this later in the week, even if they lose next week, I think they still got a great shot of getting in, and they're still a top 4 team. Different video for a different day. We got to get on to the game. Yeah, it's safe to say if you're an Ohio State fan, you might just want to click off this video now because you're not going to like it. If you're a Michigan fan, oh yeah, you're going to like it. Now, all jokes aside, even my Michigan fans, I've had multiple people tell me even they didn't expect to win this game by 20-plus points. I don't think anybody saw this coming. And what makes it even crazier to me is, remember, Michigan won this game last year, so this was supposed to be a revenge game for Ohio State. I've said it all year long, Ohio State is overrated. I said they're a great team, but I haven't seen them really look great against other great competition. Take a look at their last 4 games. They struggled with 1-11 Northwestern. Northwestern hasn't won a game in America, and they struggled with Maryland, a poverty program. And recently, yesterday, they got embarrassed. They got blown out by Michigan. And for my Ohio State fans, yes, you did get blown out. You're actually lucky they blew a play dead late in the 4th quarter where Michigan was going to get an easy scoop and score. They could have actually easily won this game by 29 points. Ohio State, you're lucky the clock hit 0 because Michigan was going to continue to run it up. And may I remind you, this was on your home field. We're going to talk about this later in the week. I'm not going to talk about playoff talk in this video. But for my Ohio State fans, number one, you're not a top 4 team. I said it in my immediate reaction yesterday. You lose by 20 plus points at home with the other team's Heisman contender out. You're not a top 4 team. You're not one of the best 4 teams in the country. I don't care. You don't even have a great win to back up this resume. Oh, what are you going to point to? Penn State, Notre Dame, give me a break. You don't have a great win, and I don't care who you are. You lose by 20 plus points, you're not a top 4 team. And we've seen Ohio State do this before. I don't know what it is with Ohio State losing to teams and getting blown out by 20, 30 plus points, but didn't they get blown out by Purdue a couple of years ago? Am I wrong on that? Let me know. Like I said, not going to dive in all that playoff talk because then this video would be an hour long. There's so much chaos going on with that. This game's really tricky when you want to look at it on paper because the first thing you're going to see in the box score is, holy crap, the backup running back had 22 carries for 216 yards, averaging 10 yards a carry. Michigan just ran all over them, but they didn't. I think at halftime, Michigan had what? Was it like 10 or 20 something rushing yards? They had no run support. The only reason it looks like Michigan just straight up ran all over Ohio State is because that Edwards dude, he broke 2 75-yard runs. Outside of those runs, did Michigan have some success here and there? Yes, but they didn't have as much run success as I thought they would. I told you guys in a preview, I didn't care that Blake Corum was out. That honestly didn't change my opinion on the game. I know it changed a lot of people's opinion, but that just goes to show me you don't believe in your backup. I think Edwards, I'm not going to say he's as good as Blake Corum because I do respect Blake Corum a lot, but he's up there. Like, for example, it's not like he's some slouch or nothing. This dude can really play too, and you saw that on Saturday. Here's the biggest takeaway. I told you guys he was going to be the X factor. If he plays good, Michigan's got a great shot to win. If he plays bad, they got no shot, and that's J.J. McCarthy. Give it up to the kid, and once again, if you're one of those box score gurus, you see he went 12 for 24. That don't look good. That's only 50% completion. But, and I have a big but, you better believe me on that. It was the passes he completed that made a difference. Yeah, he only had 12 completions, but they added up to 263 yards. Let me do some basic math for you. That's about what? 22 yards of completion? I mean, that's the insane thing about it. Every single time J.J. McCarthy completed a pass, it was a 25-yard gain. As to what was going on with the Ohio State secondary, don't know. As to why people shocked about their secondary being complete garbage and trash, I also don't know. I don't understand why people are trying to tell me this entire season that the Ohio State defense improved because I knew they hadn't. The only reason it looked like they quote-unquote improved is because you're playing cupcakes, so of course it's going to look like you're good. Ohio State's used to playing these teams where they're blowing them out, so of course you know they're going to pass trying to get into the game. That's why the secondary has looked decent this season. And you want to know what's more embarrassing about this if you want to break this down? Ohio State was daring Michigan to pass the ball, and Michigan did it and still exploited them. How are you going to dare a team to pass and they just completely dominate you? Beats everything I've ever seen. And late in the game, they knew Michigan was going to try to run out the clock, and Michigan was still breaking off 75-yard runs. That's why this loss is so embarrassing, at least to me. You dared Michigan to pass the ball, and they executed. Then you dared them to run the ball, and they also executed on that. Getting back to the stat line, J.J. McCarthy, these numbers don't do it any justice. He played the game of his life, at least up to this point. It's the best he's played all throughout this season, and also he only had 6 carries for 27 yards, but his legs on those 6 carries, they mattered a ton. He had a rushing touchdown that was huge. I think that was on 3rd down, and just some of the little scrambles here and there, they helped out. All in all, though, am I shocked about Michigan putting up 45 against Ohio State? No. I'm not shocked about that because I knew Ohio State's defense was mediocre at best, but I am shocked about Ohio State only having 23 points and looking the way they did on offense. I've said it all season long, there's something about this Ohio State team, it's just not clicking on the offensive side of the ball. Somebody's got to take the blame for it, whether you want to blame the offensive coordinator, Ryan Day, something, it's just not in sync. There's no explanation as to why this Ohio State team, which is one of the most talented teams in the country, should struggle the way they do at times on offense. It blows my mind. And by the way, let me take up for CJ Stroud. 31 for 48, 350, 2 TDs, and 2 late interceptions that were costly. The last one, not so much. But the one before that, yeah, that's what sealed the deal. It was a terrible play. Outside of that first interception, I thought CJ Stroud, he played a good game. And I've thought all throughout this season, I thought last year in the Michigan game, CJ Stroud played good. But the storyline is the play caller, the offense, the coach, Ryan Day, has had a terrible game plan. Kind of the same thing with Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young's had a fantastic season this year, but it gets overshadowed because of Alabama's play calling at times has been terrible. CJ Stroud should hold his head up high. He did everything he could. Here's what it came down to, though. Ohio State couldn't make plays. In Michigan, they were looking like the Ohio State offense. They was running off these 50-yard bombs, 60-yard bombs left and right. Michigan didn't just make 1 or 2 more plays in Ohio State. They made 7 or 8 more. There's not even too much more to say. No matter how you want to break this down, Michigan was the better team, and it wasn't even close. My biggest takeaways from this game is, number one, the Ohio State offense continues to look out of sync at times. When they're on, yeah, they're one of the best in the country, but that's their problem. They're not always on. Takeaway number 2, the Ohio State defense is what I thought it was. Your front seven's all right, I'll give you that, but your secondary is terrible, and your tackling isn't too much better. Takeaway number 3, Michigan, they're the real deal. They have elite speed, and if JJ McCarthy is playing good, they can beat anybody. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to continue to rant and rave on it. Michigan is easily a top 2 team in the country, and Ohio State, they're not a top 4 team. Right now, as to where it stands, I got 2 lost Bama over Ohio State. I'll talk about that later in the week. Next up, moving along to our 2:30 CBS game of the week, we got the Iron Bowl. Why'd I say it like that? I don't know. I thought it'd sound cool, but it wound up sounding corny. Anyway, so we got to talk about the Bama game. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you. There's nothing to talk about. I told you Alabama was going to destroy Auburn. It's not so much that I think this Alabama team is great. I think they're good, can be really good. They're not great. It's more so of Auburn is terrible. And the craziest part about this game, if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. Auburn played a really good game, and they lost by 22 points. That just goes to show you how pitiful this Auburn program and football team is. They're not that good. Their record shows it. They're 5-7, and they're not going bowling. The Alabama defense continues to struggle. Check this out. They gave up 318 rushing yards. Yeah, pretty sorry. Granted, Auburn, yeah, they're good at scheming up these running plays, but you knew they were going to do it, and you still couldn't stop them. But let's not act brand new here. We know this Alabama defense ain't that good. They're average and can be good at times. This Alabama team can only go as far as the man, the myth, the legend himself, Bryce Young, can take them, and he played phenomenal. 20 for 30, 350, 4 total touchdowns, QBR a 98.1. By the way, 100 is perfect. I mean, it's just Bryce Young. We expect this. And that's the sad part about it. This is more than likely one of his last games, if not his last game in Alabama. Because if Bama don't make it to the playoff, I do not expect him to play in some meaningless New Year's Six bowl game. And yes, that's right. I don't care if it's a New Year's Six game. It is meaningless to Bama. Not going to talk about too much more. Alabama's good. Auburn is not good. Last but not least, though, wait. Let me talk about this. Tennessee destroyed Vanderbilt 56-0. I did pick Tennessee to win this game. I'm not too sure why people like Kirk Herbstreit and just random people out there were picking Vanderbilt to win, because Vandy is still Vandy. I had Tennessee winning. They blew them out. But we got to talk about Notre Dame and USC. I'm telling you, I know a lot of you don't get to watch him because he is on the West Coast and he's not playing for an SEC or Big Ten school, but Caleb Williams is must-see TV. Said it last year. I'm going to say it all throughout this year. This man is special. And I hate to say this comparison because it sounds so cliche and corny, but he plays just like Patrick Mahomes. And at the college level, he reminds me a lot of a bigger and stronger Bryce Young, and that's scary. Notre Dame is one of the most overrated college football programs of all time. We know this. However, I think they got a decent team. I was impressed with USC's offense. We all know that USC's defense, it's not too good. As a matter of fact, it's really bad. Well, let me go back on that. I wouldn't say it's really bad. I apologize. I just say sometimes they're not so hot. The takeaway from this game is rather short and sweet. Caleb Williams, 18 for 22, 230, 1 touchdown, QBR 97.6, 9 carries, 35 rushing yards, and 3 TDs on the ground. The dude's amazing. I'm not going to sit up here and sound like a broken record player. I could talk about Caleb Williams for an hour. I love everything about this guy. He's my Heisman frontrunner. USC looks scary good, and I'll tell you this much. I don't know a single team in the country that wants to play him right now. And when I looked at it and broke it down, I posted my rankings on Twitter, and I looked at this and said, oh, man, this could be one of the most legendary playoffs of all time. You're going to have Georgia and USC at this current moment. Yeah, sign me up for that game. Caleb Williams going against Kirby Smart. Yeah. I sign me up for that. That's all I'm gonna say. And TCU and Michigan. Oh, I'm getting excited thinking about it. That'd be a legendary playoff. I'm here for it. I want to see USC get in. I want to see TCU get in. I'm excited as a college football fan. I'll leave it at that. What a way to end the regular season. The only thing that could have topped this off is if Notre Dame would have upset USC and somehow, some way, if Georgia would have lost to Georgia Tech. Oh, whoa. My bad. I was about to end off the video, but I forgot to talk about the LSU and A&M game. My apologies. You know, I stated it in the preview. I said I wouldn't be shocked if A&M wins this game because this is their Super Bowl. They're not going to a bowl game. It's their last game of the season. They got everything to gain and nothing to lose. On the flip side for LSU, you got nothing really to gain from this and everything to lose. And that's exactly what happened. They wound up losing and going out pretty sad. Losing to A&M, it's honestly embarrassing. They're one of the worst teams in the SEC. But it's an interesting conversation to me because yeah, they've had a terrible season, but we all know this. They have the athletes to compete with anybody. A&M had the #1 recruiting class in the country, so although they're one of the worst teams in the SEC, they're not like a Vanderbilt where Vandy has no shot of beating an Alabama or Georgia. A&M does. They have the players. The only problem with A&M is, number one, they've dealt with injuries, and number two, they just have bad chemistry. They put it together in this game. LSU, your season's over. There's not too much to say. You're going to get embarrassed and milly-rocked by Georgia in the championship. I don't even know if I want to watch the game. I'd rather see South Carolina in the game just to see if Carolina can continue the Cinderella run. LSU, you went out sad. You turned an impressive first year for Brian Kelly into a just, yeah, we got some work to do type of season. Can't say I'm shocked, though. This is the same LSU team that struggled and beat Arkansas by 3 points. And oh, yeah, by the way, I'm not even going to talk about this because who cares? The game didn't matter. Oregon lost to Oregon State. What a regular season it's been. But hey, it's not over. Next week's going to be really interesting. Can TCU and USC, can they win their conference championships or are they going to choke? Keep your eyes locked in on that. I'm very curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But